Okay, guys. Um, this is lesson 13. I'm going to do lesson 13 through 20. I had already started to record a lesson, and then my daughter ended up calling me, so I had to take the call, and now that messed up everything. So now I'm just going to kind of go over what I just was saying. So it says Montel hires Shay to buy some tools for him at a hardware store. Montel will pay Shay $5 more than the cost of the tool she buys. So right here it says the problem states that Montel will pay $5 more than the cost, $5 more than the cost. What operation do the words more than suggest? Well, more than means you are adding. So now it's saying, how can you represent this payment into an expression? And then how can you use this expression to calculate that Montel will pay Shay? So choose a variable to explain what it stands for. Let C be the cost of the tools. So C is the cost of the tools. And then up here it says that he is going to pay Shay $5 more than the cost. So therefore it's going to be the cost plus $5. So that is the expression that we are going to be using. So what you do down here is now they're saying, all right, now they're going to give you something for what the cost is going to be. If the tools cost a total of $18, how much will Montel pay Shay? So evaluate the expression 5 plus C. For C, it's going to equal 18. So 5 plus C. Well, what they're saying right here is that whenever you say C, you're going to substitute in 18 for it. So it says step 2, replace C with 18. So it's now going to be 5 plus C. Oh, we got to replace it with 18. So what is 18 plus 5? It comes out to be 23. So your answer will be Montel will pay Shay $23. So that is what you are going to be doing. So now we're going to go to the next page. All right, so write an expression. Tallahassee's temperature is 15 degrees less than the temperature in Miami. So what operation does the phrase less than suggest? Well, you should all know that less than means you are actually going to subtract. So that is what we are going to be doing. So write a word expression. So what you're going to be doing is in order to get Tallahassee's temperature, you would take Miami's, and then you're going to subtract 15 degrees. And then that's going to equal your Tallahassee's temperature. So now it says write the expression for Tallahassee's temperature. Let M stand for the temperature in Miami. So now all we're going to write is M for Miami, and then subtract 15 degrees, and that is going to equal your Tallahassee. So now what they're telling you is evaluate the expression for Tallahassee's temperature for M equaling 90. So they're telling you what M is going to be substituted for in this case. They said whenever you see M, put in 90 for it. So remember, this is our expression, M minus 15. So now it tells us we're going to put in 90 minus 15. So 90 minus 15, you can't do that, so you have to come over here. That would be 8. 10 minus 5 is 5. 8 minus 1 is 7. So therefore, it's going to be 75 degrees in Tallahassee. So here it says evaluate an expression for the value given. So B minus 45. For B, it's going to equal 70. So wherever you see B in this equation, you're going to put in 70 for it. So it's going to be 70 minus 45. So 70 minus 45. Can you have 0 and take away 5? No. That would be 6. 10 minus 5 is 5. 6 minus 4 is 2. So that will equal 25. So your answer is 25. All right, next, 13 plus A, and A is going to equal 40. So 13 plus 40 is going to be, if you do this up and down, this will be 3 and 5. So this would be 53. All right, next, Zeke had some tropical fish, which is going to be F. Dean gave Zeke 5 new fish. How many fish does Zeke have now? All right, we are just writing the expression. We are not solving this. So Zeke has some tropical fish. We don't know what it is. But then what happens? Dean gave Zeke 5 new fish. So if he gives him 5 more fish, really what we're going to do is we're going to just take his fish and add 5 to it. So that is all, and that was the expression. Next, Myra had some candles C. She used up 12 of them. How many candles does Myra have now? Well, she used up 12. So that means whatever she had, she now has to subtract 12 from it. So she had C amount of candles, and then she used, so she's taking away 12. And that will be your expression for that one. Next, whenever you see S, you're going to put in 80 for it. So it's going to be 80 minus 18. So when you do the math behind that, I'm actually going to just make this go a little faster by putting in here. I actually did it on another sheet of paper. And if you subtracted that, it will be 62. Here, whenever you see 31, you're going to put in K. You're going to put 31 in for K. So when you add that, that comes out to be 80. W plus 6 times 6, for W, it's going to equal 13. So 13 times 6, so it'll be 78 when you do that math behind it. This one, whenever you see N, you're going to put in 20 for it. So it'll be 60 divided by 20, and that would come out to be 3. Next, whenever you see T, you're going to put in 8. 8 times 12 is 96. And then whenever you see R, you're just going to put in 110. 110 minus 25 would be 85. And then here it says Keith is 2 inches shorter than his sister. If S equals his represents his sister's height, what expression can you write to figure out Keith's height? Well, since Keith is 2 inches shorter than his sister, that means you got to subtract 2 inches away. So you take the sister's height and then subtract 2 inches. So it'll be S minus 2 to figure out that expression. So that's all you're doing on lesson 13. Lesson 14, here you go. Every morning, Bobby's Hot Bagels makes a special claim. All bagels Bobby sells will be warm in less than 9 minutes old. What inequality can you write to represent the whole minutes how old Bobby's bagels are? An inequality is a number sentence that compares two unequal quantities and uses the symbols less than, greater than, less than or equal to, or greater than or equal to. So what clue words tell you that this problem involves an inequality? Well, it's because they use the word less than and then a 9. So therefore, it has to be, the time has to be less than 9 minutes. So now what they want you to do is they want you to graph some possible solutions on this number line. So in this case, they want you to try these numbers for T to see which ones make sense. So remember, the thing is going to be T has to be less than 9 minutes. Otherwise, you cannot have that. So if you put in a 3 here, is 3 less than 9? Yes. Remember, 9 has to be the bigger number. So 3 does fit. It makes it a true statement. If I put 6 in for T, is 6 less than 9? Yes, it is. So that is true. So then you put in 9 for t. Is 9 less than 9? No, that is false. And then is 12 less than 9? No, that is false as well. So what they wanted you to do is just to graph the ones that are true. So you're just going to put a dot on 3 saying that one is true, and you're just going to put a dot on 6 saying that that one was true, and then you leave everything else blank. So here we go. This is where we are going to be doing this. So this one says, of 2, 5, and 8, which numbers are solutions for the inequality x is greater than or equal to 5? So graph the solutions on a number line. So what they want you to do is put these numbers in for it. So you're going to put in 2 for this. So 2 is greater than or equal to 5. Is that a true statement? No, it's not. 2 is less than 5. So that is not going to work. So we are not going to be circling in 2. But now you're going to go and put in a 5 for x. So is 5 greater than or equal to 5? Yes, it is equal to. So that is a choice. So therefore that is true. So that is why we are going to come over here and just put a dot on 5 saying that is a true statement. And then the next one, replace x with 8 this time because that's what it said, 2, 5, and 8. So we're going to put in 8. Is 8 greater than or equal to 5? Yes, it is. So therefore it is true, and that's why we put a dot there. So this next one, it says show just 2 solutions for the inequality of this number line. So any 2. So remember when you are doing this, that 6 has to be the greater number. So the A has to be smaller because remember Miss Pac-Man wants to eat the bigger number. So A would have to be smaller than 6. So you could have said anything that was 5 on down. In this case, I just chose a couple. I chose 1 and 4, and those are the 2 that I'm the one that picked, those 2. But you could have said 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5 to make that a true statement. Next, now they want you to choose 7, 10, and 13 and see which ones are the solutions to this. So if I put in 7 here, would 7 be greater than 8? No, it would not. Would 10 be greater than 8? Yes. So I'll just put down 10. Would 13 be greater than 8? Yes. And that's why I put that one down. Next, for B, they wanted you to put these same ones in. And it would be 7. Is 7 less than or equal to 10? Yes, it is. So that works. So that's why I put that there. Is 10 less than or equal to 10? Yes, it is equal to, so it is a solution. Is 13 less than or equal to 10? No, it is not. So that is not a solution. So the only solutions are just 7 and 10. Here you put in C, 7 for that. Is 7 less than 15? Yes, it is. Is 10 less than 15? Yes, it is. Is 13 less than 15? Yes, and that is why they are all the solutions there. On this one, they wanted you to use 0, 4, 6, and 11 to see which ones are solutions to this. And now you're going to put in a 0 here. Is 0 greater than or equal to 8? No, it is not. Is 4 greater than or equal to 8? No. How about 6? No. How about 11? Yes, it is greater than 8. So therefore, 11 is the only one that's the solution there. Here, you would have to have a number that is less than 1. The only one of these numbers that are less than 1 is 0. So that is why that is the only solution. Here, S would have to be more than 4. So any of these numbers more than 4, 4 is not more than 4 than is equal to, so that is not going to be okay. You would need to have 6 and 11. So that is why that is there. Now this one just says show 2 solutions to the inequality on this number line. So again, you need something that is less than or equal to 6. So that's why I picked 6, because it is equal to 6. But as long as you picked anything from here on down, you would have been true. So you were supposed to pick 2, so I just picked 6 and 3. And then on this one, you would need x to be greater than 2. So as long as you were at 3 or higher, you could have picked any of those two numbers and you would have been right. This one, for her birthday, Dina wants to invite at least 8 guests, but not more than 12. So how many guests might she have? Name all the possibilities. So at least 8. So you could have had 8, and then no more than 12. So you could have had 8, 9, 10, 11, or 12, and it could not have gone over 12. So if you liked any of these, you could do this next one, which is lesson 13. That could be done on your own. You can give that a try and then just show me a picture of that. Or you can choose to do 14, which looks like this. And you can just give me those answers to that as well. So that was lessons 13 and 14. Now I am going to go over 15. So on 15, I wanted to take this out because I was trying to answer it on here and then it got really confusing. So don't pay attention to those. On this one, you guys love coordinates. So this is probably going to be another one of the favorites, but it says Camille is designing an indoor greenhouse on the coordinate grid. The floor of the greenhouse is a polygon. The vertices of the polygon can be graphed using the coordinates shown in the table. Plot and describe the floor of the greenhouse. So they gave you these. Now remember, this is your X and this is your Y. So the coordinates for this one would be 10, 1. The next one would be 2, 6. Then 2, 1, then 6, 10, then 10, 6. So they wanted you to graph each point on the coordinate grid. So that is what I did. I remember you start here at the origin. You go to the first number, which was 10. So you run to the 10 and then up 1. And there is your 10, 1. And then you go to 2, up 6, graph it. Then 2 to 1, graph, then 6 to 10, graph, and then 10 to 6, graph right there. And then you could have connected all of them, and it is making a 5-sided shape, which is a pentagon. So what if the greenhouse floor had only 4 out of the 5 vertices on this table and did not have this one up here? What would that shape be? So this one would not be here, so therefore you would just be running across here. What would that shape be? It would have just have been a rectangle if that 610 was not there. So that's what it was. I'm just going to take out this one because it was getting really confusing running into the other one. So I did not want to go over that. All right, this one. What you had to do is just plot the points with the given vertices on the coordinate grid and identify the polygon. So this one was 9, 6. So you were supposed to run to 9, up 6, plot it. Then 1, 7, and then 3, 1. And if you went and you connected all of them, what did you just made? You just made a triangle. Next one, if you did this, it would have been 1, 6, then 8, 4, then 1, 4, then 8, 6. And if you connected all those, it would make a quadrilateral. If you had to be more specific, it was a rectangle. This one, if you did this one, it would have been 2, 10, then you would have done 10, run to 10 and up 2, there's your plot, then 10, 10, so run to 10, up 10, there you go, and then run to 2, up 2, And if you connected all of them, it was a quadrilateral again, but if you want to be more specific, it was a square. So then this one, if you did this one and plotted all those points running to the 10, then up 4, and then running to the 2, up 10, and so on, and you connect all the dots, you're making a 6-sided shape, which is a hexagon. Then this one says a football field is of this rectangle measuring 300 feet by 160 feet. Each unit on the coordinate grid is 1 foot. 0, 0, and 0, 160 are 2 of the coordinates of a football field drawn on the grid. What are the coordinates of the other 2 vertices? Now, it is really hard for me to just visualize this. So that is why I made one saying that this was my starting origin and said 0, 0. And then I did a 0 running to 0, which is right here, and up 160. So this was what your 160 by 300. That's what they said, 300 by 160. So this is what they wanted. So they wanted to know what would be the next. Well, if this had to be 300 long, you would have to run to the 300 and then stay at 0. And the other one would have been you run to the 300 and go up to the 160. And that would have been your other 2 right here in order to make this a rectangle. So your other 2 would have been 300, 0 and 300, 160. All right, next one talks about a parallelogram. And what is the area of a parallelogram? Now, parallelograms do look like this, where they're like a tilted rectangle look to them. However, what they are trying to tell you is that if you cut this part off right here and you moved it over here, what did you truly make? You made a rectangle. So that is why it is called base times height. So in order to do this, find the area of a parallelogram, you are just doing the base times the height. So that is it. So now here, you look here, area equals base times height. Well, what is the base? Well, they tell you down here, it is 12. So you're gonna put in 12 for that, times the height, which is, what does it say? It says 5. So 5. So this is 12 inches by 5 inches. Well, inches times inches is inches to the 2nd power, which means square inches. And then 5 times 12 is 60. So therefore, it is 60 square inches on that. And then it says, explain why the area of a parallelogram must equal the area of a rectangle. And I said, well, if you cut off the end and replace it, it will form a rectangle like it did right here. So your answer to this area of this pennant right here is 60 square inches. So on this one, it is the exact same thing, and I do know that you do a lot of these formulas. So this is by means not the last time you will see this. So here it says find the area of this one. Well, then it's just an 8 is the base by 4. So 8 times 4 is 32 square centimeters in this case. This one, you would do a 20 by 20, which is 400 square inches. This one, you would multiply these two, and it would come out to be 117 square meters. You would multiply right here, which is 35 square centimeters. Now, this is where I just got a calculator because I did tell you you're allowed to use calculators, but of course you could always do that by hand as well. But if you did 18 times 32, it would have been 576. Here, if you multiply these two, it would have came out to be 28 and 2,500 square centimeters. Now this one is telling you what the base and the height is, and they want you to find the area. Well, you just plug it in again. Base is 6/10, and then 1,500 is your height. So when you multiply it, it comes out to be 9/100 of square centimeters. Then here, again, you would just plug in those numbers. So it would be 1 8/10 times 2 9/10. And when you multiply that, it will be 5 22/100. Same thing here. Now it says a half. Well, if you put that to a decimal, like I said, I like seeing decimals more than fractions, a lot easier. So I changed it to a decimal, which is 5/10. And then I changed this one to a decimal simply by just dividing those. And it is, when you multiply these two, it comes out to be 1,875 10,000ths. Okay, and then here, when you multiply this, once you change this over and multiply, it will be 85 square inches. And then this one, it said Carla made a border for her garden using a parallelogram shaped tiles. Each piece, so that is just one piece, had a base of 4 inches and a height of 2.5. So if you multiplied that, that would come out to be 10. However, it says right here that she used a total of 85 tiles. So then you had to times that by 85. So what was the total area of the border? It was 850 square inches. So if you like this, which will probably go really quick, this is the page I want you to do on your own. It says lesson 15 here up at the top. This is what it's going to look like. And you can also try lesson 16 on the back and do that on your own. You can use a calculator like I have said, and it may be easier for you to change these ones to decimals and be able to multiply that a lot faster for you. So that is lesson 15 and 16. So now I'm going to go to 17 and 18. Okay, now this one is not hard. It's just a little bit more time consuming, but it's not hard. It says you're going to find the median and the mode. The median is the middle value of the data set, where the data is written in order, for example, and then a baseball team scored 6-2, 6, 6, and 3. Run in 5 games. So the median of this, you would first have to put them all in order from least to greatest, and then you would start here and cross them out until you get to the middle, and your middle number is 3. So therefore your median in this case, your middle number is 3. However, if there are 2 numbers of the data set that are the middle number, you would have to add those 2 and then divide by 2, because you've got to find the average of those 2 numbers. So that is how you do that. The mode is just the one that occurs the most often. So it's the number that keeps on coming up more often than the rest in the data set. So here is, so in this case, if you look up here, the one that occurs the most often is 6, because it is seen twice, where the others were seen only once. So the mode here would have been 6. All right, so for the science fair, Ronnie grew 9 sweet pea plants under different conditions. Here are the plants' heights in centimeters. So first, what you've got to do is you're going to start putting them in order from least to greatest. And I was like marking them off as I was doing it. And then you would start here and start crossing them off until you got to the middle. And when you got to the middle, it was just 11. So therefore that is your median. Then you're going to start looking for a number that reoccurs more often than just once. And in this case, it is 9, occurs twice. So therefore the mode in this case is 9. All right, here's the next one. You are again going to put them in least to greatest order. So 3 is first, then 4, then 6, and then 8, 11, and 13. And then you're going to start from here and you're going to cross them out until you get to the middle. Now in this case, there are two middle numbers, and you got to find the average of that. How do you do that? Well, you take both of these numbers and you add them. So that would be 6 plus 8, which is 14. And then you're going to divide by how many numbers you just added. You just added two numbers, so you divide by 2. So the middle between these two numbers is 7. So the median is 7. And then it's asking, is there any mode? There is not a number that occurs more often than the rest. So therefore, in this set, there is no data value appears more than once. So therefore, this data set has no mode. There's not one that occurs more often than the other. All right, so on this, you are just going to do the same thing. It's just putting them in order first. So I put them all in order, and then you start here and you start crossing them off until you get to the middle, and the middle was only one middle number, which was 3. And then you're going to look back and look for the one that occurs the most often. Well, there is 3 3s. So therefore, that is the one that occurs the most often. So therefore, 3 is the mode here. Next, you are just going to put them in order from least to greatest again. And then you start here, and then you start working until you get to the middle, which is 23. So the median is 23. And then which one occurs the most often? If you looked, 25 is written down twice, where the other ones are only once. So therefore, the mode, the one that occurs the most often, is 25. Here, you're just putting them in order again, least to greatest, and then you start going until you get to the middle. Again, it is a 2 and a 4. Well, you can find the middle number between these by adding those two and then dividing by 2. Also, you could say, well, I know what the middle is between 2 and 4. It's 3. Yes, I get that, but you have to know what the average is, because that's actually the next thing that we got to do in the next lesson. So how you do that is you add those two numbers, 2 plus 4, which is 6, and then you divide by how many numbers you just added, which is 2, which is going to come out to be 3. And then what is your mode? This is actually an interesting thing, because there is actually one that occurs 3 times and another one that occurs 3 times. So therefore, there's actually 2 modes here. It is 2 and 5. Okay, next, same thing. Put them in least to greatest order. Start crossing them off at the ends until you get to the middle. In this case, there are 2 middle numbers, but they are both 8. And so since they're both 8, that is the middle number. It's just 8. If you added them, that would have been 16, dividing it by 2. 16 divided by 2 is going to still give you your 8. And which one occurs the most often here? It is definitely 8. So next, same thing. You put them in least to greatest order, which I did up here. And then you go until you get to the middle. Again, the middle was 2 57s. So therefore, the middle number is 57. And then the mode, the one that occurs the most often, is definitely 57 here as well. Weights of rock samples. You're supposed to, again, put them in least to greatest order. Then you found here that there are 2 middle numbers. So again, what you should have done is added these 2 numbers, which would have been 72, and then divided by 2. So you have a calculator to do that. So 72 divided by 2 would have given you 36. So that would have been your median number, your middle number. And then was there any mode here? No, there was not. So then you go on to this next one. You write them in least to greatest order. You found the middle 2 numbers, 26 and 29. So you should have added these 2 numbers, and it would have been 55. Then dividing it by 2, because that was 2 numbers, and it would have been 27.5. Again, that's 27.5. So that is your middle number, 27.5. Then if you looked which ones were occurring the most often, there's actually 2. 31, and 22. Okay, here, you're supposed to, again, put them in least to greatest order. Then the two middle numbers was 90 and 92. So if you added them and divided by 2, or if you just figured out what was in between 90 and 92, it's 91. So then you were supposed to look for modes, and there was actually 3 modes here. It was 88, 92, and 97 because they each occurred twice. On this one, you were supposed to do the exact same thing, put them in least to greatest order. And once you went into the middle, you would have had 99 and 100. Well, what is the middle between those two? You could have just added these two and divided by 2. Or you could have said, well, what is in between these two is 99 and a half, or 99.5 degrees Fahrenheit. And then the one that occurs the most often here is 1, 2, 3, 4. Yep, it's 4 of these because then there's only 3 of the 101s and 102. So therefore the mode here was 98. So that is median and mode. Now we're going to talk about average, which we were already working on that. The average is just when the average of a data set can be found when you find the sum of a group of numbers from the data and then divide by the numbers of the add-ins that you just added. For example, if Anne scored 21 points, 22 points, 17 points in 3 different games, you would first find the average by adding up all 3 of those game totals, which came out to be 60, and then divided by how many games that was, how many numbers that was. That is by 1, 2, 3 numbers that you just added, and then that would give you 20 points is the average per game. So Jonathan and Pilar are practicing a juggling team. The table shows the number of seconds they are able to keep 4 balls up in the air without making a mistake. What is the average number of seconds that they are going to juggle? So here is the seconds, and then here are all the trials. They're asking how many trials did they actually record? Well, that means trials means tries, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They tried it 5 times. So what you should have done here to find the average is add up all of these and then divide by how many numbers you just added, and that was 5 of them. So once you added all that, that would be 170, and you divide by 5, and it comes out to be 34 seconds is the average. So find the average of these numbers. Again, you add up all of these. You got a calculator. You can use your calculator. Use it. So if you add up all of that, it would have been 402. And then you're going to divide by how many numbers you just added. That is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 numbers. So then you would take 402 and divide by 6, and your average would be 67. Next, same thing here. You are going to Tommy's basketball scoring record is shown in this month, and what is the average number of points that he scored per game. So here is all of the points that he had made. And so what they want you to do first is to find the sum of the points that he scored. So you find the sum. The sum is the answer to an addition problem. So you're supposed to add up all those points that he had did. And that was 136 points. And then how many numbers did you just add? That was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 different numbers. So then you're going to divide 136 by 8, and that is going to give you 17 points per game. That is the average. Okay, so next, I just kind of did this very quickly. Again, I used my calculator, so you can use that too. You add up all these numbers, and since there are 5 numbers, then you would divide by 5, which comes out to be 9. Here you just add up all these numbers. If you did it correctly, it would be 234, and then you divide by 6 because there are 6 different numbers, and your average would have been 39. Here, same thing, add up all of these, it would have been 72, then divide by 6 because that's how many numbers you just added, and you would have gotten 12 as an average. Add up all of these, been 96 divided by 4, so there were 4 numbers, and it would have been 24. Added up all of these, that would have been 600 divided by 5 because there are 5 numbers, and your average would have been 120. Here, if you added up all this, 372, then divided by 6 because that's how many numbers are in this set, and 62 is the average. And so on. If you added, divided by how many numbers, and that is your average. So same thing here. That is what I am showing you. That is how you do these ones. Add the set, divide it by how many numbers there are, and then that is going to be your average. Again, use your calculator on this. So this one says find the average temperature. Again, you're supposed to add up all the temperatures, and then which came out to be 364, and then you divide by how many numbers that was, which it already told you there were 7 numbers. So therefore, if you divide it by 7, it would be 52 degrees Fahrenheit was the average temperature. In the temperature table above, suppose that the temperature for the next 2 days was 70 degrees. How much would this change the average temperature over the entire period? So it was 364 for all 7 days, but then they said there's going to be an 8th day and a 9th day that's going to be added, and it's going to be 70 both of those days. So if I did plus 70, and then divided it by 9, because now there are 9 numbers when you add 2 more to the set, and it would have been 56 was the 56 degrees Fahrenheit was the change. And now the change between the two is the change would be a 4-degree increase. So if you liked these, here is lesson 17. That is your median and your mode data set. Again, make sure you're putting them in least to greatest order, finding the middle from starting from the front to the back until you get to the middle. If there are 2 middles, you find the average of those 2 middles by adding those 2 and dividing by 2. And then mode means the one that occurs the most often and more than once. So that is what you do there. And then this one is the average, which is what we were just talking about. You add up all those numbers, and then you divide by how many numbers there are, and that will be your average of the data set. So this one was lessons 17 and 18. And now I'm going to go over your last set, which is 19 and 20. So now this one says the table below shows the ages of members in a bike club. Make a histogram of the data. The histogram is a bar graph that shows how often data occurs in intervals. So they gave us a whole list of numbers of ages of each of the members. And what they said is to figure out some type of interval. They went by intervals of 10. So 10 to 19, that is an interval of 10. And then they counted how many numbers were 10, how many of these ages were 10 through 19. There was 3, so they made 3 tallies. And then they said how much total it was. The frequency was 3. Then they did the same, 20 to 29, and it came out to be 10. And so on. And that's what we did here. And then they wanted you to first make up a title, because that is a very important part of this. And then you would start here and then start making your graph. And you would graph all of these. You see how this is 3. It's right in between the 2 and the 4. Then 10 would be up here. And then 30 to 39 is 5. And then 6, and then 4. So that is all you would be doing, and then you make sure that they are all connected. That's what histograms are. Next, it says if you change the histogram to show 4 age groups with 12-year intervals, what would it look like? well, then it would be 10 to 21, 22 to 33, 34 to 45, and then 46 to 57. This is one where you have to count that number. Normally when we're counting, we skip that number, but this, when it's saying in intervals of 12, you have to count 10 as one. So that is why it looks really weird with these numbers. It would only have 4 bars, so that's where it would be, it would change up our histogram instead of 5, and it would leave out people that are 58 and 59 years old. So that is another issue, and especially when there is a 59-year-old in there. So that's not going to work out. Next, they were just talking about you coming up with your own. So yeah, this one is a little trickier. It says the number of vacation days that each employee took last summer. Here they all are. So that's the vacation days. Start at 1 and use 4 days for each interval. So 1, 2, 3, 4, that is a 4-day interval. Then 5, 6, 7, 8, that is another interval. And then 9 through 12, and then 13 to 16. So I had those intervals. And then I went through and they tallied it for me. So then I just wrote down that's 4, 10, 4, and that's 2. And then I just graphed them as well. On this one, same thing, the number of minutes that each student in Mrs. Green's class spent on homework last night is given below. So I was looking through this, the smallest amount was 30. The highest that I did see, I do believe was up in the 60s somewhere. So I was like, well, it says that I should use 10-minute intervals starting at 30. So 30 to 39. I did not see anything up in the 70s. So that is why I just chose 4 of these. So then they wanted you to make a frequency table. So that is what I did over here. I actually went through each one of these, and if there was 45, then I put 1 in the 40 to 49, then the next one in the 30 to 39 category, then 55 was in 50 to 59, and so on through this whole entire data set, and this is what I got. So now, since I'm talking to you, I can do this right on here. So 30 to 39 was 6. So I'm going to come over here, and I'm going to go up here to the 6. And then I'm just going to make a little bar graph there. And now 40 to 49. Oh, you know what? I made a mistake a little bit. You're supposed to connect these, so keep it going. All right, so that's 30 to 39. Now 40 to 49 is going to be 5. So it's down just a little bit. Remember, connect them. And then you can just shade. That's that one. Then 50 to 59 is 4. So go down here. And then just kind of shade. And then 60 to 69 is 2. And I'm just going to connect that. Just kind of shade a little bit there. And that is the histogram for that. Then this one says the number of words per minute that one class of students typed in the given below. So I was looking through this. The smallest one I saw was 25. The largest was 49. So I kind of was coming up, I could do like 5-word intervals, and that's what I just decided to do. So 25 to 29, 30 to 34, 35 to 39, 40 to 45, and 45 to 49. So I just chose those intervals. Okay, so that is that one. Then this one is just you looking at a histogram and answering questions. Now it says the histogram shows the number of items sold at a garage sale within each price range. So here it is. It's not the best on the light color, so that's why I'm kind of going over this too, kind of helping you out on like what it was supposed to look like. So how many of the items sold cost $6 to $10? So you're supposed to look at the 6 to 10, you go up to it, it is at the 8. So therefore, 8 items were sold in that category. Then how many items were sold from 16 to 25? Well, 16 to 20 is right in between the 6 and the 8, so that means it is 7. And then the 21 to 25 is right on this line, which is 2. So in order to do this, you got to add up those frequencies. 7 plus 2 equals 9. So then it is 9. So they messed up there. They put another addition sign there instead of an equal. So that is why I changed it right there. 9 items were sold in $16 to $25 range. And then this one is simply saying, to answer this, I did darken it a little better here. It says the histogram shows the number of days in 1 month whose temperatures were within each temperature range on how many days it was the temperature at or above 70 degrees Fahrenheit. So 70 to 74, 75 to 79, and so on. So the frequency of interval 70 to 74 is 10. If you looked over here, yep, it's at the 10. And then the one from 75 to 79 is 3. So 10 plus 3 equals 13. So therefore, where it was at or above 70 degrees Fahrenheit, it was 13 days. On how many days was the temperature from 65 to 69? So you go to 65 to 69, it is between the 6 and the 8. So that would mean that is 7 days. And then how many days would the temperature be less than 65 degrees? So you would go over here, less than 65 degrees. So that means this one and this one. So that is 6 plus 4. 6 plus 4 is 10 days. And then next, which interval has the greatest frequency here? The one that has the largest is definitely 20 to 29. How many days did Maxine ride the stationary bike? For 30 or more minutes. So 30 or more. So it'd have to be these two. So in order to do that, you would have to do 8 plus 4. So 8 plus 4 is 12 days. And then the next one, how many people voted for the election? In order to do this, you would have to add each one of these. So that would have been 30 and 45 and 65 and 50 and 55 and 40. And if you added up all of those, that would be 285 people total. And then it says how many more voters were there from ages 41 to 50, then from 21 to 30. So 41 to 50, if you looked, was 65 people. And then 21 to 30 was only 30. So how many more is that? You should have subtracted those two, and it would have been 35 more voters. So if you liked those, you could definitely do 19 as one. So you could do that. And again, if you're going to do all 20 of them, you can get extra credit. And then this one, I think all of these are pretty good on their darkness. So I don't think you're going to have any problems answering these questions. So you can answer these ones for another lesson. So remember, you are only to pick 10. If you pick all 20, you will get extra credit for that, but that is not required. Remember, if you have any questions, you can always get on Zoom with me from Mondays and Wednesdays from 10 to 10:30. Just go on to that link that is under my classwork saying, Mrs. Burks, help session, talk session, the new link. So you may come on at any time and I can help you out. If you just want to talk, I'll be there. So you guys have fun and be good, and we will talk to you soon. All right, bye.